guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's episode is all about the Ordinary Serum Foundation, which I purchased off of the Deciem site. I also purchased the High Coverage Foundation, but today's episode is just me trying on the Serum Foundation, giving you my feedback as I apply it. I'm going to do some check-ins and a final check-in at the end of the day with my final thoughts on it. So I purchased color 2N for neutral, and I believe they were about $8 on the website, $8 each. I know I paid less than $20 for both. So very inexpensive, and I think that's sort of the appeal of Ordinary at the moment, that they have high quality products for a very incredibly reasonable price. So I was really dying to try it. It took about 6 weeks for me to actually receive these products, but in fairness to the company, they did warn anyone who went onto the website and ordered these that it was going to take a long time. So I was expecting the long wait time, so I was perfectly fine with that. But just to give you an idea of the actual packaging, it comes in this box. Nothing terribly fancy, very typical of the Ordinary. It looks very pharmaceutical, if you will. Which I happen to like, and it comes in this bottle, which is like a hard plastic. It has a nice pump. This material is sort of similar to like the NARS material. It's not quite as grippy. I think it's a little bit smoother than that. And the pump locks to the right. It locks down, so that's pretty handy for traveling. And it is 1 fluid ounce, the typical 1 fluid ounce, or 30 milliliters. It's made in Canada. So if you're interested in watching me apply the foundation and give you my first impressions thoughts, I'll also be doing a check-in, and if you'd like to hear my final thoughts and my final check-in later on today, then just keep on watching. Alright, so I've got the Ordinary Serum Foundation with me, and I have the colorway 2.0N for neutral. And let's see what the directions say. Shake before use. Dispense a small amount into the palm or back of your hand. Smooth on and blend throughout the face, ideally outward from the midpoint of the face. It is very liquidy sounding. Interesting. I hope this color is right. I have a sponge with me, and then I have a flat top kabuki brush. I'm going to try all of these out, see if any of them work. I have a feeling, because this sounds so liquidy, I'm probably just going to use my fingers, but we will see. So I'm going to pump. Oh, cool. So the pump actually can lock. So if you twist it to the right, it locks, and then if you click it to the left, I believe, yep, it's open. So this is incredibly liquidy. You can see that running down my hand already. So I'm just going to pat some onto my face, and like they say, I'm going to start the midpoint here. It smells like roses, kind of. And let me start with a sponge here and see how that goes. This is nice. This actually has a little bit more coverage than I thought. The color seems to be good, which is very handy. The shipping on this was like kind of insane, as you guys all probably know. It took forever to get here, and they were completely back ordered for I think like 4 to 6 weeks. So anyway, I thought, shoot, if this color isn't right, then I'm really gonna be shit out of luck, because I probably won't be able to return it and get a new color for another six weeks. So anyway, I'm glad this color works out. I really like the sponge on this, surprisingly, and the coverage on this is a lot. It's by far not heavy, but it's heavier than I thought it would be. I'm gonna try the kabuki brush. I kind of went a little crazy with the sponge and started patting it in on this side of my face. So I'm going to try just the top of my cheek here with the kabuki brush. Let me do my forehead here. And I used about 2 pumps, which seems to be good enough for my entire face here. You know what? I think I like the Beauty Blender more. With a foundation this thin, I think you can really see like the unevenness of the brush, sort of the brush strokes and stuff. So I'm just going to finish this off with the Beauty Sponge. So the finish of this foundation, and you guys can probably see this, is very dewy. It is, it's bordering on shiny. I actually didn't put any primer on. All I've done is just sort of wash my face, I moisturized, but I didn't put any primer on. I just wanted to see how this foundation would lay. Since it was so light, I thought it's probably going to be moisturizing, so I didn't bother with any primer. And I'm glad I didn't, because this is definitely very, very radiant. I think if you have oily skin, this may not work for you, because I have very dry skin and I already feel like it's a bit shiny. I will definitely be doing a check-in to let you know how everything sits. I also have the full coverage version of this foundation, so I definitely want to give that a shot also. That, I suspect, will probably be a little bit more mattifying, or at least matter than this finish. The coverage to me is definitely sort of like a light medium. There is definitely more coverage than, say, like my Glossier Skin Tint, which is very thin. I feel like this has more coverage than the MAC Next to Nothing foundation. So I'm gonna put on the rest of my makeup, and I'll come back with sort of more first impressions thoughts and how it sits with the rest of my makeup. So I'll be right back. So I finished putting on my makeup and I put powder down, and that definitely eradicated sort of that dewiness that I was seeing when I initially put on the foundation. So that's definitely a good sign. But what I am noticing is that it is already sort of settling into my laugh lines here along my mouth. Actually, let me zoom you in. So I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it is like it's settling right into my laugh lines. And that is not a good sign, since I've only had this on for about a half an hour. But if this is all that happens, if it doesn't get worse throughout the day, then I will be pretty happy with it, but we shall see. So I will do a check-in in a little bit. Maybe, what time is it now? It's about 8:40. I'll do a check-in at around noon, and then I'll give you my final thoughts probably right before dinner, around 5 or 6. I will have had it on about 10 hours, which is pretty long. So I will be back. Hey guys, so it is about 12:15. I've had this makeup on for a little over 3.5 hours. I think I put it on at around 8:30. So it's been about 3.5 hours, and so far I'm really liking it. It's not doing anything funky. It's not settling into my lines any more than it did this morning. I did have concerns about my laugh lines, but it has not gotten any worse. And it's not breaking up anywhere. It's not like feeling funky in any way. It's very comfortable. It has not oxidized. It has remained the same color as when I put it on. And yeah, and I'm really enjoying it so far. Here it is. Let me try and get a close-up under my eye. So those are my fine lines. I mean, I have fine lines there. So there you can see my fine lines, but I don't think that this foundation is accentuating it in any way. There are some products that really, I don't know, make them like, turn them into like these dark lines. But this foundation is not doing that, and I really enjoy it. Sorry, you may have noticed that I took off my lashes that I had on earlier. I just couldn't. They were really bugging my eyes. So anyway, those came off. But other than that, my makeup has not been touched up or changed in any way. So I'm happy with the wear of this foundation so far. So I will be back at the end of the day to give you sort of a final look and my final thoughts on this. And so I will see you then. Hey guys, I am back for my final check-in and my final thoughts. And I have to say that I am pretty impressed with this foundation. It has lasted a really long time. It's just about 5 o'clock now, and I put this on at 8:30 this morning, so that is 8.5 hours. And this is not marketed as long wear foundation, so I'm pretty impressed. I mean, it's not like I worked out or anything in the makeup. I didn't go for a long walk or anything, but I did go out a couple of times today. One time I stayed in my car, and the other time I did actually have to get out and run an errand. So I was out and about a little bit. I have been pretty much working at my desk all day. The sun in my room, I literally work in like a greenhouse. The Vegas sun is so strong, and so I have been kind of sweating. So it has withstood that, and I know I expressed some concerns about it settling into my lines. It has not settled in any more than it did upon first application, so I was happy about that. Usually if I put on a foundation and it kind of accentuates my lines, it just sort of gets worse and worse as the day goes on, but that is not the case with this. It looks pretty much the same. So while it's not like amazing. It's not like it kind of blurs my lines in any way. At least it has not gotten worse. It hasn't oxidized. It hasn't broken up around my nose, which is usually where foundation breaks up. And yeah, and I think it wears, it's worn really, really well. I am seeing a lot of shine kind of coming through the tip of my nose. That's fairly typical, but you know, when I applied this foundation, it was incredibly dewy, and so I was a little bit worried about how kind of greasy my skin would look as the day progressed. But it hasn't gotten that bad, again, just around kind of the end of my nose. And once I put powder on, it dampened that sort of dewiness that was happening. It has just sort of kept it at bay. It hasn't sort of peeked through anywhere else. So all in all, I have to say that I give this foundation a thumbs up, especially at this price point. It was, I couldn't quite remember when I filmed the intro, and so I just checked online, and it was $6.77. That is super cheap. That is like Wet n Wild inexpensive. So very excited about that. And I also did want to mention some other thing. I had posted this on Instagram that I had received it and that I was playing around with it. And one of my friends commented that she got it also and she really loved it, and she has very fair skin as well. And she mentioned, you know, that she really needed the SPF. And I thought, I don't remember seeing that this had SPF in it at all. And so I was looking at both versions, the serum and the high coverage. And so I went to the site, and it had this very sort of vague disclaimer underneath or above the ingredients list that basically said that in the EU, in the European Union, they can mention that it has SPF in it and that it's been approved, and you'll see that on the boxes being sold there, but not anywhere else. So I wasn't sure what exactly that meant, and I looked in the ingredients, and it did have titanium dioxide, is that what it is? The physical sunscreen. It said it may contain titanium dioxide. So I have no idea actually if this contains it. It may, and it may not be labeled as such, or it may not, and it's still not labeled. I don't really know what that message meant. So I should also mention that I assumed that this was going to be a light coverage foundation because it is a lightweight serum formula. But again, upon reading the website a little bit more closely, I get very excited, so I kind of skim through everything. But upon reading it more closely, it is supposed to be a medium coverage foundation, which I definitely agree with, because I was surprised at how much coverage I got assuming that it was supposed to be light. And so if you're looking for that maybe a little bit more than something lightweight, this is sort of perfect because it still feels very, very light, but it gives you a little bit more coverage than a very lightweight foundation. Like the Glossier Skin Tint, which I mentioned, and also something like the MAC Next to Nothing foundation. Those are very light feeling, but they also have a very light coverage. So this is pretty special in that way, in that it feels really light, but it gives you a little bit more coverage, so it's kind of the best of both worlds, in my opinion. So all in all, I really enjoyed this foundation. I hope you found this review helpful, and if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe below, and I will see you in my next video.